Ready to go? All right, so my name is Jessica Stewart, and I'm the Coalition Coordinator over at Prevention Link in Union County. And tonight we're going to talk about underage drinking. So 22 million Americans have an addiction, and that's the same amount as the population of the state of Florida and New York put together. So a lot of people that are suffering from addiction. And of that, we know 8.3 million children are living with a parent who suffers from some type of an addiction. And we have to think about different things that could be affecting that child, whether it is the child showing up without lunch, is the child acting out for attention in class because they're not getting the proper attention at home. So there's different things that could be happening with the child at school because of the parent's addiction. And over 90%, or 9 out of 10 people who have an addiction, start when they are teenagers, so 13, 14 years old. So a lot of times we think it's just underage drinking, it's just a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of marijuana, but 90% of the people who have addictions today started when they were teenagers. So substance misuse affects our country every year for $442 billion. So we've got healthcare costs, we've got loss of productivity costs, and criminal justice costs. So every time the ambulance needs to be deployed for Narcans, or every time a kid needs to go to the hospital to get their stomach pumped from alcohol poisoning, it's costing society. And we know that 1 in 7 people in the United States are expected to develop a substance use disorder at some point in their life. So if you look around a regular room, there's more than 7 people in it. That's a lot of people who are suffering from substance use disorder or addiction. So nearly 21 million people suffer from substance use disorder, but only 1 in 10 receives treatment. So we know there's a big stigma around addiction, or people are embarrassed to admit it out loud, or they don't think that they have a problem, so they don't always go for the treatment that they need. This is more than 1.5 times the number of people who have cancer. So when somebody gets diagnosed with cancer or serious illness, the first thing they do is map out their treatment plan and what they're going to do to try to get better and fight it. But with addiction, we see that people are not getting the treatment that they need. So on the slide, it's showing you the states with the highest drug abuse rates and the most abused substance by state. So the dark blue are states that are mostly affected by binge drinking. Light blue is the states that are affected by binge drinking and marijuana use equally, and then green is marijuana use. So for New Jersey, we're actually the 3rd state ranked for binge drinking abuse in the country by high school students. And if you look at the other states that are ranking that high in binge drinking, we've got West Virginia, Montana, Iowa, and Arkansas. So those are very rural states, right, with a lot of similar characteristics compared to New Jersey that's not rural, and we still are ranking 3rd in the country for binge drinking. And then if you look around in the next couple of years, because if you see all the states around New Jersey are mostly marijuana abusing states, especially with legalization possibly happening, New Jersey might become light blue, where they're abusing binge drinking and marijuana equally. So in the United States, alcohol is the most commonly used and abused drug among our youth, and we know that it is responsible for 4,300 deaths every year for youth. Alcohol poisoning is one of the big ones, where they drink too much and they suffer different symptoms. So things like confusion, nausea, vomiting, pale skin or cyanosis, lower body temperature, hypothermia, seizures, and lack of physical coordination where they can't actually walk or if they're unconscious. So short-term effects of alcohol use, or when somebody starts to get drunk, right, these effects can last up to 72 hours after heavy use. So something like heavy use would be binge drinking. And for that, it's the slurred speech or the lack of coordination and balance, falling down, vomiting, passing out. Some of the non-common ones are ones that you don't really realize are it's raising your blood pressure, it reduces your core body temperature. Even though people who are drinking usually get hotter or sweating, your body temperature is actually being reduced. So those are just some of the short-term effects. And one of them that's important for teenagers or anybody for driving is the depth perception is affected, and that's how far close something is to you. So if a teenager can't see how far close something is, and because they've been drinking, their reaction time is slowed down, their depth perception is affected, it's going to make it more likely that they'll get into a car accident. And then we have long-term effects. So we've got memory loss, trouble learning, alcoholic hepatitis, any type of cancer, so it could be throat, mouth, larynx, esophageal, high blood pressure, cardiomyopathy, stroke, irregular heartbeat. Those are some of the longer term if you're abusing alcohol on a regular basis. And on the slide you can see there's a normal 43-year-old brain over here, and then an alcoholic 43-year-old brain on this side. And the alcoholic one has a lot more holes in it, and that's representing the brain cells that have been killed from alcohol abuse. So binge drinking is the most common type of drinking for excessive alcohol use in the United States. And we know that youth who are drinking, 90% of them are consuming it in the form of binge drinking. So binge drinking is 4 drinks for women in 2 hours and 5 drinks for men in 2 hours. And that's important because it takes your liver about an hour to process 1 serving of alcohol. So when they're drinking that much in a short period of time, they start to get drunk. They experience those short-term effects of alcohol use. And we know that the reason that teens are binge drinking mostly is because anybody who's over 21 can go to the local bar or the local liquor store on any random Tuesday and get alcohol and drink when they want to. Anybody under 21, like high school students or middle school students, cannot do that. So when they go to a party and they have access to alcohol, they're going to keep drinking excessively because they don't know the next time they'll have access to that. So this slide is showing you that substance use during adolescence can harm the development of the brain. So we know that teenagers don't always make the best decisions. That's because the prefrontal cortex is the last part of your brain that's developing, and that's around age 25, or mid-20s. So they're not fully developed yet to make the best decisions, like impulse control or delaying gratification, extended reasoning. So then you add alcohol or marijuana or other substances to it, and they may have even harder times making decisions. So this one's showing you the different parts of the brain and what they control, like the frontal lobe is their speech, emotions, reasoning, inhibition of impulsive behaviors. Those are all an area that's very affected when somebody's drinking, right? The slurred speech and heightened emotions, the reasoning's not really there. So it's showing that a child's brain continues developing until they are in their early 20s, about 25. And it's just showing that alcohol is a drug, and any type of drug can affect the brain development. So here you see in this one, there's a bunch of pink and red spots, is a 15-year-old non-drinker during a memory test, and this one is a 15-year-old heavy drinker or binge drinker during a memory test, and the pink or red spots are actually showing you their brain using those parts of the brain for memory during the test, whereas the 15-year-old that's a heavy drinker does not have as many. They have this one little pink one, which is showing how it could affect them in school if they're not able to access their memory, right? If they're drinking a lot, they're not going to remember the lessons they're learning or the homework that they're doing or studying for their test. So we know that young people aged 12 to 20 drink 11% of all alcohol consumed in the United States, even though they're not legally allowed to purchase it. And that 1 in 5 teen drivers involved in a fatal crash has alcohol in their system. So some underage drinking stats. You can see up here, nearly 1/3 of all drunk driving deaths happen between the ages of 16 and 20, so our juniors and seniors in high school and early college ages. There's about 10.8 million underage drinkers in the United States, and that 1 in 16 binge drinks. And then what's interesting about that is that 1 in 16 are binge drinking, but only 1 in 100 parents actually believe that their child is binge drinking, or maybe may not be fully aware of what binge drinking really entails, that their child's drinking that much at a short period of time. Maybe they think they're having a drink if they go out, but in reality, most teens are binge drinking. So this was a study done, the Monitoring the Future study in 2018, and the numbers represent the percentage. So the blue is the 12th grades or seniors, the lime green is 10th grade sophomores, and then we have the bright blue is our 8th graders, and they reported that 30% of seniors drank in the past month, 18% of seniors have been drunk, 14% binge drink, and 1% drink on a daily basis. And you can even see that even though sophomores and the 8th graders are smaller numbers, they're not that far behind. We've got 19% for drinking in the past month for 10th grade. That's a lot of kids that are drinking underage. So a lot of times parents don't think that their kids are listening to them when they're talking to them. I think it goes in one ear and out the other. But according to this Roper report in 2017, the students actually reported that 83% said that their parents had the biggest influence on whether or not they drink alcohol underage. So it may seem like they're not listening to you when you're talking, but it is something, a conversation that's worth having with them, and just letting them know the facts, showing them what could happen to them, the consequences of underage drinking, the consequences of underage drinking and driving, and letting them know. Because it seems here over the last couple of years, this goes down to 2003, it looks like here, and all of this, the parents have always been the highest number of what the kids listen to for when it comes to drinking. So So on this chart, it's showing the alcohol consumption among college students over the past decade, so from 2008 to 2017. And it may look like, okay, this is good that it hasn't changed in the last decade, it hasn't increased, that they're drinking more in college, but it's not that great because it's pretty much the same, and it stayed relatively unchanged from 2008. So it started over here at 85%, and then in 2017 at 79%, so it only went down a little bit. So it kind of shows the correlation that underage drinking is, a rite of passage, or it's normal, it's okay, and it's accepted, and they don't think anything of it. So for high school students coping with stress, we know that kids are a lot more anxious these days, especially with the use of technology and having that at their fingertips at all times. So over here it shows that 61% of teens say that stress and anxiety have a large impact on their lives. And then over here it says 11% of teens feel that they're compelled to use drugs or alcohol in order to cope with that anxiety and stress. So according to the Mothers Against Drunk Driving in New Jersey, they reported that we have 137 annual drunk driving deaths per year in New Jersey. We rank 8th for our national ranking when it comes to drunk driving accidents, and 23% of drunk driving, of traffic fatalities are because of drunk driving. So some consequences of underage drinking. So we know that youth who drink alcohol are more likely to experience social problems and school problems. So some school problems would be higher absence rates, poor failing grades. They may not be able to remember what they're learning and apply that to their tests or their homework. Social problems like fighting or lack of participation in youth activities such as sports or clubs after school. Legal problems, so if they get arrested or they physically hurt somebody while they're either physically with their hands or behind the wheel after drinking. Physical problems such as hangovers or illnesses, so getting sick from drinking. And then it also disrupts your normal growth and sexual development, and it can contribute to physical and sexual assault. So in this chart here, it's showing the underage drinking related deaths. So we know that kids who are drinking are at higher risk for suicide or homicide. And here you see 32% are traffic accidents, 30% is homicides, 14% is for suicides, which is almost half of the homicides. So that's a lot of kids who are committing suicide or because of drinking, or because they had the courage to do so once they were drinking or drunk. So just something to think about with underage drinking. Memory problems, abuse of other drugs, so it's easy once they've been drinking to switch to things like vaping or tobacco use, marijuana, because their decision-making is not at the best. We've got changes in brain development that could have lifelong effects, so memory problems, like they said earlier, and death from alcohol poisoning. So drinking and driving. From another survey, the 2017 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, high school students reported during the past 30 days that 17% rode with a driver who had been drinking alcohol, 6% drove after drinking alcohol themselves, 30% drank some amount of alcohol, and 14% binge drank. So they are reporting that they are doing it, and even though the percentages seem like they're low, 17% of them that were comfortable enough to get into a car with somebody who had been drinking, even though that's something that's been, kind of nailed down to them since they were little, right? We always talk about drinking and driving and how it's bad, and the commercials on TV, parents are always saying it, the cops are always saying it, but yet 17% still reported that they got into a car even though they knew the driver was drunk. So consequences of drinking and driving: anyone under 21 who drives with a detectable amount of alcohol in their system and are convicted of violating New Jersey's zero tolerance law could experience loss of their license, postponement of their license. So just because they're under the age of 17 and they don't have it yet, they could get their permit pushed back or their license pushed back. They could get 15 to 30 days of community service, and they may have to participate in an alcohol or traffic safety education program. We actually do one of those at Prevention Links. It's a back to basics station house adjustment program where kids who get arrested for alcohol or substance use issues have to come to us for the education piece and listen to a presentation on the consequences of using those substances. So alcohol obviously affects academic performance only with, we already talked about with memory problems where they're having trouble remembering what they're learning. So this table is just showing the relationship between the average number of drinks consumed per week and the grade point average. So showing that 3.6 drinks per week would be the kids that are reporting that they get A's mostly, 5.5 drinks B's, 7.6 drinks at C's, and then 10.6 drinks at D or F. On 10.6, drinks most likely are the binge drinkers who are drinking Friday, Saturday nights, having 4 or 5 drinks in the short amount of time. So we know that alcohol also affects athletic performance. Because the short-term effects will last up to 72 hours, that means that if a kid goes out on a Friday night at a party and then has a big game, a state game Saturday or Sunday, those short-term effects could still be in their system. So it decreases your aerobic performance. It is a diuretic, which could lead to dehydration, especially if you're not drinking water after consuming alcohol. It can impair your regulation for your temperature and accelerate fatigue, right? So we know most people who are drinking may pass out, they're tired, they're hungover the next day, so that's going to affect your athletic performance. It impairs your motor skills and decreases your strength, power, and sprint performance, right? So drinking impairs your reaction time, your depth perception, your hand-eye coordination, your judgment. So all these things that are needed for pretty much any sport, you need balance, coordination, good reaction time, good vision, or you're not going to perform well. You're not going to be able to put your mitt up and catch the ball during baseball or softball. It slows recovery time, so it can interfere with delaying your muscle repair. So if you get hurt and then you're drinking, especially those students that do get hurt, and maybe they can't participate for a couple weeks, so they're more likely to start attending parties or social events where there might be alcohol. Increases risk of injury or illness. Because they're consuming alcohol, they're experiencing these effects, they may not perform as well, so they may get hurt. And it disrupts sleep. So when you're drinking, even though people think, because a lot of people pass out after drinking, it doesn't mean that you're getting a good night's sleep just because you wake up and you don't remember the day before, the night before. It's actually like light sleep or disrupted sleep. So you're not getting that the deep REM sleep where you're actually feeling rested. So for college students, the top 3 substances used for alcohol, marijuana, and Adderall, which I don't think is surprising that they reported those 3, but if you look at alcohol, we're at 78.9%. Whereas marijuana's down at 39.3, and Adderall's at 9.9. So alcohol still being the most commonly abused drug by college students. So on college campuses, alcohol is a big thing, parties, the Greek life, all of those things that encourage drinking underage. There's about a little under 2,000 college students that die every year from alcohol-related unintentional injuries, including motor vehicle crashes. So again, going back to the drunk driving car accidents, most likely ages that people will be between 16 and 20, so right in the beginning of college. 696,000 are assaulted by another student who had been drinking. 97,000 report experiencing alcohol-related sexual assault or date rape. So most of the time when you hear of a student being raped or experiencing sexual assault at a school, there's usually alcohol involved. 1 in 4 college students report academic consequences from drinking, so missing classes, falling behind in classes, not being able to remember the material for exams, not being able to concentrate on their papers, and overall just receiving lower grades than those who are not drinking. So Parents Who Host the Most is a large campaign that's out there trying to encourage parents not to let kids drink at home. So it's a big myth that the parents think that it's safer if the student or the child is drinking at my house because I'm able to watch them. But instead, all it's doing is teaching the child that it's accepted and that you're not really that mad at them if they drink. You just want them to be drinking somewhere where they are comfortable with it. So then when they go out, they're less likely to say no if they're being pressured because they think it's okay. So just some tips are, don't be afraid to be a bad guy for your child. Take a tough stance on it. Make sure that you know that they know that it's not okay for them to drink and that you're not going to be happy with them if they're drinking. Talk with other adults, so make sure that you talk to their friends, parents, and make sure you let it know that you're not okay with your child drinking at their house underage either, and that you would be more comfortable, if they're not letting the kids drink there. Because if all the parents in the friend group are taking the same stance and being tough on no drinking, it's less likely that they'll be drinking at anybody's house. Try to set a positive example. So most parties, almost every occasion celebrates with alcohol, especially for adults. And make sure that you do have non-alcoholic beverages as an option. Most people do always have water, soda, just so the kids can see that the only option is not alcohol. And make sure that nobody at the party is drinking and driving. Even if they are an adult, the child's aunt's uncle is sitting there drinking. If they drink too much, don't let them drink and drive. It sets a positive example to them that you're not letting even an adult over 21 do it, so they shouldn't be doing it either. Stay home if a teen is hosting a party in your house, so you want to make sure you're observing those activities and make sure that no other partygoers are sneaking alcohol into your house, because you could be held responsible if something happens to any of those kids, even if you weren't aware that alcohol was in your house if they snuck it in. and then report underage drinking to the police immediately. Even if it makes you the bad guy with your child, it's okay. You want to report it right away because it could save their lives. It could make sure that their friends are not getting in the car behind the wheel after they've been drinking. Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, so next up we have Nikita Marshall from Up in PC to talk about the Talk They Hear You app from SAMHSA.
Hello. Hello, my name is Nikita Marshall, and I am the AmeriCorps Vista for United for Prevention in Passaic County, also known as Up in PC. So we seek to create an environmental change relating to substance abuse and alcohol by promoting awareness and communication and support to all our county residents. I am here today to bring awareness to underage drinking, which is one of our top concerns in Passaic County, and I want to communicate how Up in PC aims to reduce this concern by providing support for parents through this underage drinking campaign developed by SAMHSA called Talk They Hear You. Let's go back. So their primary goal is to reduce underage drinking among youth under the age of 21 by engaging parents in prevention behaviors. And they also aim to increase awareness and understanding among parents of the prevalence and risk of underage drinking, increase their knowledge, skills, and self-efficacy regarding their role in preventing underage drinking, and to increase the actions by parents to prevent underage drinking. So in December of 2006, Congress passed the Sober Truth on Preventing Underage Drinking Act, also known as the STOP Act, to encourage parents and communities to be responsible for preventing underage drinking. The policy addressed modified enforcement of drinking laws, taking steps to reduce alcohol availability to teenagers, increasing research on underage drinking, improve the monitoring of alcohol advertising to youth, and to have an adult-oriented media campaign. In response, SAMHSA conducted a background study that consisted of a lit review, a media content analysis, and environmental and competitive analysis. And based on the study, they conducted a nationwide focus group, both in person and via telephone, to explore the attitudes, concerns, social and cultural context, the influences on parental behaviors, and the language being used to discuss underage drinking. They also conducted one-on-one interviews with youth aged 9 to 15, which provided an insight on who they turn to for advice about alcohol. So the key findings for parents is that underage drinking is not a top-of-the-mind issue for them, and participants don't believe that his or her child drinks. The key findings for youth was that they wanted to talk about alcohol in the context of recent events, and they also pinpoint mothers as the go-to parent to deliver the underage drinking prevention message. Based on the information gathered from the background study and the focus group that they conducted, SAMHSA discovered two main themes. First being that parents are the primary messengers for underage drinking prevention. Also, there are other people in the community and in their lives, like coaches or someone that they respect, an adult that they respect, that can also deliver the same message because they do have an influence on their decision making when it comes to drinking underage. Secondly, parents feel that in order for them to initiate the conversation with their child about alcohol, they would need prompts and conversation starters. So this is valuable information because youth have expressed in their one-on-one interviews that they want their parents to take advantage of the opportunities to discuss issues as it presents themselves versus their parent bringing it out of the blue. So this campaign launched in May of 2013 during National Prevention Week, and SAMHSA had a strategic media outreach plan to reach 7,000 media outlets with their PSAs. They took the grass-top approach of work being done at the state and community level with parents and the local media campaigning in support for this media outreach. They also partner with well-known and respected organizations to campaign in different communities across the country. Some of them you know, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or even the National Parent Teachers Association. So I wanted to show you guys all that this campaign has to offer and why I think that we should bring it to Passaic County to address our underage drinking campaign. So first I'm going to show you guys their website. And with their website, you can see, so they have parent resources, they have partner resources, more information about the campaign. No, you don't have to click it. And more information about the campaign, and you can see their variety of PSAs. So this is the parent resources page, and you can see it's broken into two categories: help for talking about alcohol and other drugs, and they have background information. So one of the handouts I wanted to show you guys for the background information is why your child might start drinking. And with this handout, it should, the first one? It's like one of the last few. So with this handout, most parents may think that their child starts to drink because of peer pressure, but that may not be the issue, the response for each child. So it could be stress, it could be that they're having transitions in life, it could be peer pressure, it could be genetics, it could be the environment that they're in. So with this handout, it gives you a possible reason why, and let's say it's transitioning. So say the child is transitioning from middle school to high school, or they just went through a breakup, or the parents are divorcing, or they're moving. So this handout tells you what you can do. So for transitioning, you just want to reassure the child that this is just temporary and that they'll get through it. There's going to be easier times, but you also want to reiterate that drinking alcohol is not a solution for those problems. And then you want to continue to have the conversation with your child after that. So which leads me into the other PDF file that shows 5 conversation goals. So with this handout, what SAMHSA is doing here is that they want you to continue to have the conversation with your child, because multiple conversations is more effective versus just having one big talk. So when you have these conversations, you want to have a goal. So let's say the first conversation, you want them to understand that you disapprove of them drinking, or you're telling them their stance on them drinking. The next conversation, you want them to know the effects that it may have on their health and their wellness and their success, and how that trickles into other aspects of their lives. Like it can have an effect on school or sports that they play or any after-school activities that they're involved in. And let's say in the next conversation, you want to build skills and strategies with them. So if they're ever in a situation where they're offered alcohol, you guys could come up with a way that they can handle that situation. Or you guys can build strategies, like if you're somewhere and there's alcohol present and you want me to come and get you, you can text me a code word. You can go back to the PowerPoint. So this campaign also has TV PSAs, they have print materials, they have radio scripts, and they have their website as resources. So with their PSAs, they have 8 videos that come in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and they have a 5-minute discussion video. They have print materials, they have 6 posters and 6 radio scripts that come in 15, 30, and 60 seconds. They also have it available in Spanish. They don't have much, but they do have a video that comes in 30 and 60 seconds. They have handouts, they have posters, and they have a radio script. So I'm going to show you guys one of their PSA videos, and I'm going to explain why I chose to show this video towards the end. Oh, no, not that one.
Underage drinking is a serious problem with severe consequences. We know that children... Underage drinking... Kids start to experiment with alcohol. Why do you get killed like this?
Outside here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the city.
Harsh.
Hey, you didn't have to drink. We made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So I chose to show this PSA because it goes back to the focus group that SAMHSA conducted where parents said that underage drinking is not a top of the mind issue for them. And you can see that in this PSA where the dad is like, well, no, I didn't have this conversation with my child. So SAMHSA is trying to reach the parents who haven't thought that they should have this conversation with their child yet, which shows that they really did take heed to the information that they got from the focus group that they conducted. So they also have print materials that target different demographics. So they have military, Army, and Navy families. They have the mother having the conversation. They have the father having the conversation. And the different scenarios that they can have the conversation. So if they're helping you with the task in the morning during breakfast, if they're helping you out in the kitchen, if you guys are in the car running errands together, these are just different examples of where parents can have the talk with their children. So this is just another resource that this campaign has, which is an application, and this is just an overview of what the app is all about.
Underage drinking is a serious problem with severe consequences. We know that children who drink alcohol are more likely to use drugs, get bad grades, engage in risky sexual activity, and even suffer injury or death. Parents have a significant influence on children's decisions about alcohol. Around 80% of children feel their parents should have a say in whether or not they drink. When you talk, your children do listen. Talk, They Hear You is an app that helps you start this important conversation. You'll start by selecting a parent avatar, then decide what to say and see it play out. You can practice real-life scenarios like bringing up the topic of alcohol and asking questions. If the conversation isn't going as planned, get tips and advice while you practice. Then, track your progress along the way. You can help prevent your child from underage drinking. Download the Talk, They Hear You app today and start talking.
So like the app mentioned, when you download the app, it can be for Windows computer, iPhone, and Android. And you choose a parent avatar and you choose a child avatar. And then it goes into a scenario before you have the conversation and see how that goes. So I'm just going to tell you a little background story before I show you a video of me using the app so you can get a better sense of how it works. So I chose the mother, Alicia, and as the parent avatar, and her daughter Sarah as the child avatar. And it goes into Alicia is a little bit concerned about Sarah because she's in 8th grade right now. She's going into high school. She's been a little bit sad lately because her father's on his second deployment, and she is all about her friends. So she's noticing this about her child, and then she's just a little bit concerned. So Alicia, the mother, she heard there was a high school party over the weekend, and there were 8th graders there, and there was alcohol present. So this even gave her a greater concern. So she knows that she needs to have this conversation with her daughter Sarah, but she's not sure about how to go about it. So she goes to her neighbor's house, Mr. Bauer, and his daughter Carmen, who is home from college, and she's 4 years sober. So she's just going over there to get a little bit of advice because they've gone through this before. And they just give her helpful tips like you want to talk with Sarah, you don't want to talk at her, you guys should build the skills and strategies if she's ever in a situation that she doesn't want to be in where there's alcohol present and what she can possibly do. And just giving her more helpful tips. And then what you're going to see here in this video is the conversation after that. So just a few controls when you are using the app. So when the parent's head is highlighted, that's when you choose a response. You're going to have multiple options. And along the conversation, you're going to get advice on how the conversation is going, good or bad. And you can even undo your last response and choose another response and see how the conversation flows that way. And during the conversation, the child has their phone with them, and you can actually read the text messages as they come in. And then also you can track your achievements and your goals for if you're meeting the conversation goals that I explained earlier, and small achievements that you've made during the conversation. So I'm going to show you guys this video of me using the app. So as you can see, the parent's head is highlighted, and this is where you would click to pick a response. So you're either going to bring up alcohol, bring up Carmen, or you're going to bring up the party that she's heard about over the weekend. So I chose to bring up Carmen.
Mr. Bauer and Carmen stopped by yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about all that trouble Carmen had in high school. You know, with drinking. Remember that?
Sort of. I remember when she had to stop babysitting me and Sean. She went to rehab or something, right?
Right, something like that. She started drinking the summer before high school, and things got out of control. She lost a lot of her friends, got kicked off the soccer team. She was suspended from school once. She had to work really hard to turn her life around. It just made me think about how you'll be in high school soon, and I was wondering if you'd thought about all this kind of stuff yet.
I mean, not really, but that won't happen to me.
So you gain an achievement, and you also have advice at the bottom. So it says, good job using an antidote to bring up underage drinking without making it a lecture or a talk. The less formal the conversation is, the more comfortable kids tend to be. And then you're going to continue the conversation and your multiple options of your response.
I just bring it up because I want to make sure you thought things through. What do you know about alcohol and how it affects people?
Well, I know it's bad for you.
So you have advice, she has a text message. Your message doesn't seem to totally get through. See if you can find some reasons not to drink that will really hit home. So her text message comes in. It says, ick, mom's giving me the don't drink speech. Haha, it's because the party, I got it from my mom too. If I ignore her, will she stop? Whatever you do, don't tell her about the flask. So obviously she has friends who have to experience drinking alcohol. That doesn't necessarily mean she's tried yet. So you can choose your response from that. You could either discuss the effects or use an example.
So tell me some reasons why you think you shouldn't drink.
Well, it doesn't taste good, and it can make you kind of stupid.
How does it make you stupid?
It makes you clumsy, makes you say stupid things.
If you were at a party or hanging out with friends, how would you feel if someone was acting like that?
I don't know. I guess it'd be funny to me, but it'd be pretty embarrassing for them.
So you have advice at the bottom. Asking kids to come up with a reason of their own is a great way to get them more involved in the conversation. You might want to keep prompting to see what other reasons might emerge. So as you can see, during the conversation, it gives you good and bad advice of how the conversation is flowing based on your responses.
Have you ever thought about what you would do if you were somewhere and people were drinking?
Yeah, Mom. I think about that all the time.
I'll take that as a no. So let's think about what you might do.
So you can either offer a solution or use a hypothetical situation.
What would you do if someone offered you a drink? Someone popular.
I don't know. Maybe I'd have a sip just to make her go away.
So you can either agree or you offer an actual solution.
If someone offers you a drink, you could give him some reasons why you can't take it. What reasons can you think of?
I could say I'm pregnant. They're, okay, just kidding. I could say I'm allergic, maybe. Or Coach says I can get kicked off the softball team if I get caught drinking. You could say that.
Right, you could say that you want to play softball more than you want to have a drink.
Yeah, getting kicked off the team would suck. Stink. It would stink. Hey, I really need to change and get ready to go to the movies.
So your response, you can either end the conversation or try to gain a few more minutes with her.
Sure, I definitely want to get you to the movies on time. So let's just chat for 5 minutes and then we'll go.
Okay, you got 5 minutes, Mom.
Oh, well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Next time, talk to my secretary.
So you gained another achievement, and you have advice, and she has a text message. So the advice is to, good job keeping things light. It's clear you're working with and not against your child. And in the future, if you really want a conversation that's free from distractions, you can create that opportunity by suggesting both you go for a walk or ask for help with a chore. So she continues her conversation. You still bringing it tonight? Trying. You do are you in if I do? Maybe. So now she's a little bit iffy about drinking from this flask and going to the movies with her friend. So you can offer a solution, use a hypothetical situation.
If you're ever in a situation where you need me to come get you, I will. We can set up a code word or a phrase to use so your friends won't know you asked it.
Code word? Take it easy, Agent Mom.
That's boned. Alicia boned. I mean, we can think of a word or a phrase or something, and anytime you say it to me in a call or a text, I'll come get you. No questions asked.
How about, Mom, I'm with my friend. Can't I clean my room tomorrow?
I like that, yeah. Just make sure that if you're calling, you don't have it on speakerphone.
What if I want to text you and people can see it?
Just send me a text with a blank space, and I'll text you back something like, your room is a pigsty. You were supposed to clean it up before you went out. You need to come home now. And then I'll be the bad guy who's dragging you out of the party to clean your room. And based on the current state of things up there, it's definitely believable.
And would I, be in trouble? Would my friends be in trouble?
So So you have another achievement. You came up with a master plan if she's in any situation that she's uncomfortable with. And her text message reads, I'm definitely coming to the movies tonight, but my mom's been on me about cleaning my room. So silence your phone. Don't pick it up. I'm going to try. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if she shows up if the movie goes too long. So you can see that her mother is reaching to her, that she's taking in what her mother is giving her. So you can choose your response, whether or not she's going to have consequences if she's ever in that situation, and that's based on whatever the parent wants to choose.
I would just be really glad if you called or texted me.
No yelling?
No yelling.
No freaking out?
No freaking out.
Okay. Can I get that in writing?
No.
So that's also an achievement. You showed that you cared. So you also have advice. So speaking of, if you do want to put this in writing, SAMHSA has a family agreement form on their website, just a thought. And that could go between you and the child. You guys can come up with an agreement and both sign it, and it could be something in your household that's a staple.
Thanks, honey. I'm glad we talked.
Okay. So we're done?
Yeah. But if you ever have any more questions or you want to talk some more, just let me know, okay?
Okay. Now I've got to go change before you drop me off at the movies.
Change? What's wrong with what you got on?
Nothing. I just want to look good. He says that's my Batman t-shirt.
The?
Zach. You've met him.
A boy?
What? Stop looking at me like that.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking we should have more of these talks. Come on, go change.
And
Now
another
that the
achievement.
conversation's over, let's hear what Sarah thought about it and where she stands on underage drinking.
I never knew Carmen had such a rough time with drinking. No way will I end up like that. The whole thing wasn't too bad. I wouldn't mind asking her questions or talking some more in the future. Anyway, I don't think I'll start drinking anytime soon. It just sounds like a bad idea. Mom and I talked about it, and there are some things that I could do to get out of drinking without looking like a total loser. Like I could call or text her with a code word or phrase, and then she could come and get me.
So as you can see throughout the conversations, you got little achievements. So starting to talk, which is considered the hardest part for most parents, is an achievement within itself. And another achievement can be you answered a tough question. Especially if your child's seen you drink, they're going to ask you when you're having this conversation, well, why do you drink and why is it okay for you to drink? Gaining a few more minutes. It's already hard to talk to teenagers as it is to get their time. So gaining a few more minutes with them is an achievement. Being loud and clear about your stance on underage drinking. And then going back to the conversation goals that I discussed earlier, you can also track that. So you show that you disapproved, you show that you cared, you show that you're informed, you build skills with them, and you show that you're attentive. So with all that the campaign has to offer, I just want to share with you guys a few tips on how to utilize the information and how other states have used this campaign as well. So if you're in a school setting, you can distribute the handouts to parent-teacher conferences or other school events. If your school has electronic book bags that go out in September, you can download the PDF versions of the handouts and have it sent in the electronic book bag. If you're a SAC or counselor or parent liaison or anyone that works with parents directly, you can direct them to the website, and you can let them know about the app and how to download it. And you can even download their toolkit, which is available on their website, and hold a training in your area with materials that you feel will benefit your community. So in Texas, they ran this campaign and they targeted 5th and 8th grade parents, because this is when 5th graders are transitioning to middle school and 8th graders are transitioning to high school. And they had 8 different presentations during the spring, and they held them at different times during the day, and they kept them at 30 minutes max. So they utilized a variety of PSAs, and they would show them in the beginning of performances at school board meetings, athletic events, and PTA meetings. in East Hampton, Massachusetts, they targeted 4th and 8th grade parents, and they had a postcard campaign. And they were able to, they have an annual parent guide, and they were able to get an article in there about Talk They Hear You. They had travel mugs with the Talk They Hear You logo on it that they used as giveaways if they had tabling. And they had images all over their website with the message. They did push the app because it's such a great resource, and they would mention how to download it, in any material that they would give out, they would mention it. So that happened within their first year. In their second year, they wanted to expand regionally, so they were able to partner with other 12 DSC coalitions and organizations in their community, and they all came together and created one website where everyone can pull information from one place. So you're able to get information about the campaign and more information that the 12 other organizations are able to offer the community. So they actually ran this campaign in Sussex, New Jersey, and they ran it all year round, but they really pushed it during the months of April because this is Alcohol Awareness Month, in May because this is the start of where their youth is more vulnerable to risk-taking activities, and they're going to try alcohol for the first time, and in June because this is 8th grade graduation. So during these 3 months, they really pushed this campaign on social media, so on Facebook and Twitter, and they changed the message from Talk They Hear You to Keep Talking They Hear You. And they did let parents know about the app, and SAMHSA's Talk They Hear You has a soundtrack. So they utilize that as well. They would play in the beginning of performances while parents are when people are walking in, and people will ask, like, what is this song about? And that sparks a conversation to talk about the campaign. And they also brought print material to any event that they attended and left it behind. They had it in local businesses, and they were able to send them home. They had it at conferences and at any after-school programs. And they also had an article in their local newspaper about the prevalence of underage drinking in their county and among school-age students. So I want to share with you guys Passaic County's data on underage drinking. So according to the 2015 Up in PC Parents Who Hosted the Most study, 68% of parents agreed or strongly agreed that underage drinking was a problem. The 2012 Middle School and Risk Protected Factor survey indicated that 30-day alcohol use for Passaic County students is 20.8% and lifetime use is 40.1%. And according to the 2017 New Jersey SAMS, which is the New Jersey Substance Abuse Monitoring System admissions records, showed that there was 44 alcohol treatment admissions in Passaic County for 21-year-olds and under in 2017. So with underage drinking being one of our top concerns in Passaic County, a part of our intervention is to enhance and strategize media and marketing efforts to encourage a social environment that doesn't tolerate underage drinking. So before we ran the campaign Parents Who Host Lose the Most, we informed parents about the laws regarding children being caught in home drinking alcohol and the consequences of that and how that falls on the parents. So I feel like our next step is to bring this campaign in so we can get parents comfortable to have that conversation with their kids and show them how that conversation could possibly go, which would be the app aspect of this campaign. So we ultimately want to have an effect on parental attitudes because, as you can tell from before from the previous presentation, it does matter. And if we have an effect on parental attitudes, we can have an effect on youth attitudes. If we have that effect, we can possibly reduce underage drinking in Passaic County. So I provided you guys with some handouts to take home, which is brochures in English and Spanish, a postcard with the 5 conversation goals on them, fact sheets about the campaign, and steps to download the app on a computer or iPhone or Android phone. So we actually started campaigning, and this is in Willowbrook Mall. We had a sky banner in April, and that comes in English, and we had a standee by the food court, which was in Spanish. And we also have this campaign being run on the bus tails and on the bus sides. So as you can see, this bus comes from William Patterson, and it's in Spanish. So thank you for letting me present to you guys today. If you want more information about this campaign, you can visit our website, which is located on the PowerPoint, and it's under our Parent Resource tab. And I am free to answer any questions that you may have.
Ask that question.
Yes.
Vice Chair, I'm the Mayor of Pompton Lakes, I just want to say hello. Thank you for coming. So it was very good information that I saw when I came in. But we also have part of the problem, especially with the 8th graders and 9th graders, where the parents are inviting kids in here. So the conversation isn't going to go that way, because in their minds, they feel it's safer for the kids to be drinking in their house than be out in the woods or somewhere else drinking. So I think that's 50% of our problem here. You know, we have 50% of what you showed there is correct. But the other 50% was parents saying, no, stay in town, I'll get the beer for you, as long as everybody stays here and gives me the keys. That's another problem.
Which goes back to, I feel like this campaign and the Parents Who Host campaign goes hand in hand, because I feel like that tackles the 50% and the 50%. Because you're telling the parents that, like, if you think it's okay to invite kids to your home, and it's like, okay, it's okay to drink here because I'm here and it's acceptable for me, but that's not the case. Like, you can get in trouble, which shows here you can serve like 6 months in jail. It's like, do you want to do that to have your 8th grader and 9th grader drinking in your home, and you're showing that it's acceptable? And it can lead to an addiction, and do you really want to deal with that? And then that's when it comes into the aspect of, like, you need to have these conversations, multiple conversations with your kids about underage drinking. Because it's not just to have fun and games, it does have serious consequences. And we're, like she said, we're ranked number 3 in the country for binge drinking. And that's insane. This is something that can be prevented. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
And I think part of the education is just what you said, and making the parents understand. They, you know, a lot of parents, especially the newer parents, don't understand they can be held responsible for something that's going on in their house, even if they say, I was upstairs and I didn't know what was going on. So a lot of times what we hear is, especially 9th, 10th grade, they go down in the basement, the parents are upstairs, they kind of know what's going on, but they believe they don't know what's going on, something is out of control, the police go down and figure out what's going on, and then knock on the door and say, you're allowed a party here in your basement, and they said, I didn't know what was going on. You know, that's more.
Well, we have to reach those parents somehow.
Yeah.
So thank you for your question. Thank you, Ashley.
So thank you so much to Jessica and Nikita for being here tonight. We did record this presentation. We're going to be showing it on the YouTube channel and reposting it. We will be doing this presentation, something similar to it, for back to school nights hopefully this year. So hopefully we have a bigger reach with parents. But thank you guys again. And have a great night, everybody. Oh, and if anything, sorry.
Those are meetings.